What's that?
So I'll be recording this webinar.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah,
sure,
for
sure.
others to view later on. Okay. So
Good.
uh, I'll share screen. Sure. So how can I share my screen? Yeah. So can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay. So yeah, thanks for joining in. And this is our first session. Hopefully it's going to be productive. Yeah. So how's nano degree going so far for you?
It's good. It's got a lot of good content, and I've had a chance to go through the lessons, and I was just starting to get around with the first project. So that's that's what I was getting, working on, started working on. So I'm excited. I think it's a good course, structured well. There are a couple of things which I noticed as I was working through the quizzes. Um, I thought that probably I missed something or I did not. Maybe part of the code was not there, but I think I figured out what the general idea is. Trying to kind of move forward.
Yeah, so like you can book any one-on-one sessions if you have
Hmm.
any questions, so we can discuss whatever problems you have, or you can like post your questions on knowledge as well.
Hmm.
So over here you can see a bunch of questions, and you can view those questions, see if those questions are helpful, the discussions on those questions. You can also post your own questions, and you can also book one-on-ones with me over the Slack. And yeah,
Yeah, I just did. I just did. I think I saw I booked. I actually didn't see any availability that you have in March. I think it looks like you're
no, no,
completely.
no. Actually, like I didn't put the slots for the remaining weeks, so I have to.
Okay. And the first one I saw was in April. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I have to do that. So yeah, this is the classroom page, and
Hmm.
yeah, this is the main overview page, and this is study plan. This should be quite handy for you. And
Hmm.
help, and these are the. So in this tab, you can see the most commonly question. So I would highly recommend you to familiarize with these questions and their answers. So uh, it's about the policy deadlines and about extensions. If you need to pause, yeah, these commonly questions. And you can always reach out to me as well if you have any one of those commonly questions.
Absolutely, will do. I'll go through that. Go through that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so we should start our main topic of this webinar, that is using pandas. Like you must have noted by now that pandas is heavily used in this nano degree. So like if you look at their first project, pandas is used, and even the later projects, only pandas is used heavily. Like there are other libraries, of course, but pandas is extensively used for data manipulation. And
Okay.
yeah, so uh, yeah, in order to install any Python libraries over the Jupyter notebook, you can like have this exclamation mark, pip install, and then U stands for updated pandas. This is the name of the library. So in this way, pandas library will be installed into the environment. If you already have installed, then you don't need to have it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wonder why is it taking. Okay, I'll stop it. It's already installed in my laptop machine. What's wrong?
Rahul, we've been working mostly with, you mentioned Pandas, so you will be mostly working with the time series data.
Yeah, yeah, time series. Yeah, exactly. Like so the tickers are row wise, and the columns are I think in time. Maybe other way around. Columns are in the tickers, and the times are in the rows.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, so this command is for installing any library. So
Hmm.
over the job project, you may have come across requirements.txt. So in that requirements.txt file, all the libraries are mentioned which needs to be installed. After
Okay.
that, you can start working on the project.
Hmm.
So that's like a first line of code. Requirements dot pip install requirements dot text. Yeah, so
Yep.
it's like a handy way to install the libraries into the
So
front-end.
one question there, in terms of the so for the project, um, I didn't see the data set. So the when you say I have to implement, let's say, for example, requirements.txt, then that I'm assuming that um,
So already it's already done for you. You don't have
already
to
done that.
anything. Yeah, you don't have to have a requirements.txt file. It's just like if you want to like after the finishing your nano degree you want to do on your own, then it's need to know all of this, how to install libraries, how to set up Conda environment, because right now you are working on the Udacity workspace, but
Hmm.
you need to work locally as well. You need to
Correct.
apply your knowledge
Yeah.
to other data sets. So yeah, so that's why like this mentorship is going beyond what already has been covered in the nano degree, going beyond that. So I'll keep it that way. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So do we uh, download the data set and work locally, or the work has to happen in the Udacity cloud space?
so thing is like Udacity claims that the data set is proprietary, so you can't at the moment. But
Okay.
there's a way around. I know that there's a hack. It's been discussed in the knowledge forums. There's a hack to download the data set. You can search it.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is the way to import the libraries. Import pandas PD, and
Hmm.
this is the way to read the data set. So data set format is CSV. So I'm using .vs read CSV, and
Yep.
I get a small glimpse of the data set here. .had. And this is a quite handy way to read the documentation. So I have used question mark. If I click this here, so I can read the documentation of the pandas. Yeah, so I get to know, oh, what do you mean by file call? So I get to see what it means by file calls, delimiters. So I get to know their meanings, use calls. Yeah. So and I always recommend you to, if you're using some library, uh, check out the documentations,
Hmm.
how it's used, and they have also given the examples as well, so you can use those examples. So in the second cell you can see two question marks. So that's like a source code. So you can see how this method has actually been implemented. This is source code. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's a very convenient way to view this documentation source codes over the Jupyter notebook. So Pandas, yeah, Pandas is a really popular data science library, mainly used for data manipulation. And I would highly recommend to, come up with the optimal codes when you're working on the project. So it should be optimal in terms of, you're not really expected, but I would suggest that it's good to do that. It should be optimal in terms of runtime. It should be scalable, because when you're working on a very large data set, then processing gets slower.
Hmm.
Yeah. So try to come up with the optimal codes. So for example, you should avoid using for loops, especially nested loops. For loops, that's like writing multiple for loops. So I have seen students using for loops when working with pandas. That's really inefficient. Like even for multiplication, they are using for loops. So I was
Oh,
quite,
okay.
yeah, yeah. So I would, not suggest that because it will be very time consuming. Your course will be very uh, suboptimal if you're using nested loops, especially. So
Hmm.
I would suggest that. And if you're not too much familiar with Pandas, so do check out this course by Udacity. It's a free online course, Intro to Data Analysis. Pandas is used, and it's a short course, so you can get through it very quickly. So, yeah,
Hmm.
and try to, when you're working on the project, try to have put comments on it and try to come up with optimal codes. Like I said before, it should be optimal in terms of runtime and scalability. And yeah, and Python is a higher level language. It's very different from C++ and C. So it's and so thing is like it's a slower language. So that's why you have to put some efforts on into making it code efficient. So because Python has a several layers, so it's wrapped around C language. So in a way that when you're executing a Python code, it has to be converted into C and into other stages, so that and then final stage is machine reading code instructions, so bytecode, something like that. So it's not and other languages like C and C++ are much closer to the machine instructions code. There are lesser layers when you're executing a C and C++ code. So the, you know what I mean. So that's why
Hmm.
the C and C++ are faster.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's about Python and Pandas. So let's start with the basic operations of Pandas. So here is the way you can slice out the columns. So I want to have these columns, read in these three columns right now. So merchants is this, and I want to read in a couple of rows. 3 to 10. Okay, I use iloc. There are other methods as well that like I dot ix. Okay,
What is the difference between IX and ilogs?
both are same. There's a
Okay.
difference. And you can actually come up with your like you can. Okay, let's go with this. Uh, so I'm performing multiplication here between these two columns, and then I can assign it to the new column. I can like come up. I can create a new column and append it to the merchant's data frame with just one line of code here. So this is a new column here. And
And if there is a missing value here, what happens?
so sorry.
In one of if there is a missing value in one of the columns, let's say numerical 2 and one of the rows has a missing value and nan, so
So NAN, it will be NAN.
okay.
Yeah. This is a new column now. Like before executing this code, there was no new column. So with one line of code, you have appended a column into the merchant's data frame with just one line of code. And over here, this I've written a function, yeah, and you can like apply that function to the column by using apply method. That's like you can also use a dot map as well. So most recent sales range.
Can I use this for, so this is for data frames or this is for series also I can use the apply method?
You can also use on data frames as well.
Data frame and okay.
Yeah, you have to like, but you have to make sure that function can be applied onto all the columns. I mean, otherwise you have to mention the columns.
Hmm.
Yeah. So okay, most sales range. So I want to turn capital letters into smaller letters. Let's say I have this function for that, and I apply that. So that and this apply function is quite optimal as well. If you read in this article, Beginner's Guide to Optimizing Pandas Code. So in that article, apply method. Uh, it has been stated that apply method is most efficient as compared to other methods like iter rows, or yeah. There are other what do you say methods as well, and the author has compared which method is most efficient. So the main takeaway from that is like always research on online and see if your codes are optimal or not, and how can you make it optimal. Stack Overflow is a good resource to check that as well. And also come up with a, if you have any questions, let's say then you can like post it on the Stack Overflow, or you can search it on online.
Okay.
Yeah. So here you can see uh, with just one line of code, I've just done uh, capital E into small. And yeah, so this is it uh, for applying basic operations to pandas. So I'll cover some other way techniques like uh, let's say pandas like the data set is so huge that pandas can't read into the memory. So the thing is like pandas read in the data set into the memory, and your computer may have a limited memory. So it's quite expensive to have a to have more memory size than the hard drive. So for example, in my case, like my PC has like 8 gigabytes. So my PC Pandas cannot read more than 8 gigabytes of data into the
Mm-hmm.
memory. So that's like a drawback.
Yeah.
So there are ways to come around. There are some tricks, though they're not like the optimal, but still there's something. So this is the data frame merchants.info memory usage. So now here you can see how much memory is being consumed by the merchants. That's like 60 megabytes. That's something, and you can see data types that are being used across the data frame. So ID is using merchant ID is using object.
Rahul, what type of memory is this? Is it like is it cache? Is it can say memory or RAM or
A RAM memory.
the RAM? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So you now you know uh, the data types of these columns across the data frame. And so yeah, simple hack is to assign appropriate data types to the columns. So you can optimize the memory by assigning appropriate data types. So let's say this can, uh, this is using int 64 bits, so you can downcast it into int 32. Then you'll see that you're actually saving up the memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so here, let's say in this line of code, like I select the columns which are of float type, and then I downcast those float types from 64 bits to 32 bits. So you
And
can
what
see,
if, when is because to this is to for from memory
yeah, yeah,
perspective this is done?
yeah, yeah. So here you can see it's 46 now, memory consumption.
Okay.
Before it was 58. So you're reducing to now like 12. You're saving up 12 megabytes.
Okay.
So, yeah. So you'll actually find it really helpful when you're working with a very large data set, this technique. So when you're working on with very large data set, then processing gets slower.
Yeah.
So it will be nice to optimize your data frame memory consumption.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's quite cool. If you are assigning appropriate data types and optimizing. It's a kind of a data engineering work
Yeah.
where yeah it's used in SQL as well, assigning appropriate data types. And over here, so objects takes up the most memory. So I just assign category type to the object type. And I can see I'm saving up like 1 megabytes of memory consumption from 46. The consumption is reduced to 45. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah. So and then what if uh, you can't even read the data set? There's a memory error. Like yeah, let's say in your PC, four, 4 gigabytes is allocated, but you're working on 8 gigabytes. So how to make use of that? How to make use of pandas with that kind of data. So you can use chunk size. Uh, this is an argument in read CSV. Yeah, so this is so at the moment in this cell, data set has not been read in, not at the moment. When you call next, then this is the first chunk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so now you can see uh,
So
only
the 10,000 was the number of rows that were read at one time.
yeah at this time. Yeah, when you call
Okay,
again, yeah, when you call again, so so the next chunk will be read in, and the
got it.
first chunk will be destroyed from the memory. This is
Okay.
you're reading in chunk size. The data set.
Mm-hmm.
So that's quite memory efficient. And you can also see the memory consumption. It's 2 megabytes. So that's really helpful.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can also use when use calls. So you don't want to read a whole data set, you just want to read some columns from the
Mm-hmm.
data set. So you can use this use calls. So so now you can see only 5 megabytes at least. So it's quite helpful. So you see my point that
Mm-hmm.
if you're working with a large data set, then there's a way around in using pandas.
Yeah, I did not know that. That's good to know.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's all I had to cover in my webinar. So
Right,
any
it's helpful.
questions?
No, this is helpful because I faced this issue, and I earlier working on some projects where the data set was really big, and I did not know there were these things available that you can kind of And I ended up putting that on AWS, but I think this is better from an analysis perspective. If I can use chunk size, or I can view some columns at one particular and do the analysis. I think this is good. So no, this is helpful. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, good to know that. This is
Yeah.
like a my first webinar, and I'm sorry if I wasn't like very clear. Uh,
Now,
yeah,
so Rahul, how do you run these? So these webinars would be technical, or this would be technical plus related to questions around trading, yeah, or purely technical. How what's the structure going to be like going forward?
so like yeah, it's up to you guys. Like, how do you want to manage this? Like, how do you what do you want me to conduct on the webinars?
Hmm.
Do you want me to go beyond the nanodegree? So like so this pandas is like used heavily in the nanodegree. So whatever I covered is not technically used, but it's very useful when you finish the nano degree and work on the real data
Yeah.
set.
I thought there was something. And of course, there'll be other guys. I see Kyle there on the webinar, so I'm sure others will have similar questions, whether it's technical or related to that. But there's something that kind of caught my attention as I was going through the lectures. There was a talk about outlier detection
Yeah,
and how the outlier detection is done. And this is something that I know. I know this is maybe outside of the scope of the nanodegree, but it'll be good. Maybe we can schedule some time if we can talk about in one of the upcoming.
yeah. Like so, if all people agree on the topic, then we can
Yeah,
have a webinar. Otherwise, we can like discuss on the weekly chats, one-on-one chats.
sounds good. Yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. So that'll be good. Uh,
yeah,
um, hey Kyle.
Hey, how's it going? Hey,
Good.
I do have a little question for you. I thought the IX method was you'll probably run into it being deprecated because I think back in version 20, uh, they started. I remember getting a whole bunch of warnings and stuff, and so they wanted to really push to users using the .iloc and the loc.
I'm not sure. Maybe it can be possible. I've used it a couple of times. I never got this error.
I've
Yeah,
used
it has been
I,
deprecated. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm like on the older version, seemingly.
I've seen iLock and lock. So I thought I haven't seen. Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, Kyle,
But
how's it going for you?
pretty good, man. Doing really well. I think the outlier discussion would be a really good one because it is kind of a good debate of, hey, what is an outlier, and within your data, how do you deal with an outlier? And because there is like a systematic approach, you just can't just get rid of outliers. Sometimes, sometimes you really do have an outlier you have to account for. You have to have like a legitimate, you know, um, reason why you're getting rid of it. It's just not because you don't like that data point and it totally screws everything up. It's got to be a good reason. And so a lot of people could probably benefit from, outlier detection. What are the thresholds? What defines a threshold? And then what you do when you do have.
I think it's been covered in the nano degree. There are some
Okay,
lessons.
okay, cool.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
no. So I was just saying for maybe the next webinar or something, you wanted to go more in depth with it, or you're saying how we wanted to go
Yeah,
over
to
a
be
topic.
honest, like it's already been covered, and I'm not sure how much more into that I can go.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
So, like, yeah, if you have any questions around those lessons, let me
Okay, cool.
know. Yeah, around those lessons, I mean.
Excuse me.
Yeah, if you have any questions around those lessons, let me know. Lessons
Okay, yeah,
on outlier
yeah,
detection, how to create
definitely.
outliers. It's actually covered in the breakout strategy, second picture of outliers. After the first picture.
Is there in the nano degree, like, is there going to be any coverage over like real time data, or are we always just going to be working with like static files and like?
You'll be working on the static files, but you can have a side project. You know,
Okay.
help you out if you have any issues with it.
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Sorry, what did you say, Rahul? Uh,
Yeah, like you guys will be working on a static data. You won't be working on the real time data, the data streaming data.
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, is supposed to be 30 minutes of webinar. So are there any other questions?
No. I'm actually I'm good. I'm enjoying it so far. So thank you very much.
Hey, Kyle, where are you based? I mean, are you in the US?
Yeah,
No.
I'm in Pakistan, so I posted like a PST time zone because I don't know, everyone can relate that PST.
You're in India,
No,
Rajasthan,
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, you're in Pakistan.
Mhm.
And Kyle, where are you?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. Awesome. Okay, I'm in Jersey.
You're in Jersey.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man.
So we'll catch up this thing.
Hey, spring is coming, man. Just letting you know. It's
Yeah.
kind of warm down here, so.
Yeah. Good to connect.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Rahul.
Yeah, so finish this.
It's late in Pakistan. Sleep.
Yeah,
Uh,
go get some rest, man.
all right,
All
thanks
right.
for joining.
Thank
All
you.
right, all right, see
For
you
the
guys.
session.
Take care. Bye.